Hello there, Still Becoming. Welcome back to another episode of Still Becoming. Hope you all enjoyed the last week's episode, my interview with Jim Logan. If you haven't had a chance to listen to that, I definitely recommend going on over and going back a week and listening to that. He is battling stage 4 cancer and is continuing to train for an Ironman, and not just any Ironman World Championships in Kona. And so, yes, I hope you'll get a chance to review that and let me know what you think. As of for this week, we're back to the solo episode, and the episode today is titled, My Anxiety. If you're enjoying the show, don't forget to follow on Instagram, where I'm kind of just basically letting you know my journey and how that's all going and unfolding in this ever so changing, still becoming, learning to operate at 40, and just kind of letting everyone know out there it doesn't take a drastic, change in life. It doesn't take anything special to keep doing what you're doing. So going over to the Instagram page, it's Still Becoming 26. Again, that's at Still Becoming 26. And, hope you all enjoy some of the content, just my thoughts and reviews after runs and, what my workouts look like. But as we dive into it, this week has definitely been a huge angst for me. It's been up and down, mostly just, it was an off week. I dove a little too hard into, researching more on this type of training I'm doing and this kind of type of hot training that's going around right now, which is the Norwegian, method. And, I ended up acquiring Marius Bakken's book, and I just dove right in. And it was a lot to take in. And as well as, I have a race coming up next week, and, just the excitement surrounding that, and the excitement surrounding just how my training's been going, and that eagerness I want to get further detailed. I want to do every little thing to advance my potential. And sometimes it's always not a great idea. Sometimes getting too much of a good thing can really, upset the balance of your calmness that you're working towards. The idea of, as I always have been preaching, that your passion, if you're doing it right, it can be fairly boring. And, I feel I've done that so well. It's just this week, things got a little bit more intense and crazy, and I let the anxiety get the best of me. And, I think that's something that, many of you out there can, relate to. That idea of, I think I'm okay. No, I got this. I really do. I have this and I'm going to be fine. Nah, I don't need any help. I don't need to back off. I don't need to, slow down. And in reality, when you're not sleeping well, when you're feeling so overwhelmed, that feeling, or you're feeling like this sense of, if I don't do this, I'm going to fall further behind, and that's all clear signs your brain is telling you you are doing too much and you are taking on too much, and you need to back off a little bit or you will have a breakdown. And that's something that is tough to identify. It's even tougher to tell yourself, yo, we need to slow down. And, that can be something that, even people like myself, or just very A-type personalities, and anybody that has an issue simply will not admit to it. And they'll not admit to it till it's too late. And, I fortunately have been through quite my own perils. And I was able to identify it a lot earlier. I was able to identify that I need to stop. I need to slow down. I need to take an assessment of what's going on and say, look, you're getting in a little too deep. You're not focusing. Your brain is simply scatterbrained, and you feel more overwhelmed by even the simplest task. And that, to me, was a sign to say, all right, it's time to back off. It's time to really, pull back and let myself know that, hey, we're taking in too much, and that's okay. You just need to relax. You need to take a break from, all the extensive details that you can get into about your passion, whether that's reading more up on, in my case, reading more up about the type of training I was doing from some of the experts, to trying to be, more involved in learning about also on socials, and, trying to apply every little thing to your life to essentially find out a way. Is there a way I can make this just slightly a little better? Is there a way that I can maybe improve just that 1%? Is there a way that I can maybe, essentially skip to Friday? But I will have to say it's not possible, and taking on too much will definitely set you back further, add more stress, potentially get you sick. And when you clearly know it's a problem, is that you can't remove yourself from it. And everything you do just revolves around, I need to be around it. I need to be around it. I need to be around it. And even when you take a break or you try and sleep, you're thinking about it a lot. And I think that's where the problem lies. That's the addiction in it. And it may not be one of those bad addictions, but it's a healthy addiction that can be transformed into a really bad addiction. And that's something that I really struggled with this week. And I'm happy to say I took a break from Wednesday all the way until this morning, which is Saturday, June 6th, when I'm recording this. And so I took like 3 days of just, nope, I'm not going to peer into any social. I'm going to post and, kind of let people know how the run went, or let how, things are going with me, and post my little, here's the run. But that was it. I chose to step back from anything, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. And I think it really worked for me. I was really happy with the results that coming by Saturday. I definitely noticed my sleep was getting better. I definitely noticed my well-being was getting more calm again. I definitely noticed that, it didn't matter how much I wanted to succeed in my passion. It mattered more that I was having fun. And yes, I will say I was having fun. And I dug into a lot of that stuff of like, what is this coaching theory that I'm on? And, how do I, adapt my muscles just that much more, just that little bit in a way? How do I adapt the rest, the recovery? I will say that was all fun. It was just a little too much for one moment and one week. This is definitely my recovery week. And I would say that's when you're supposed to be recovering, maybe not so diving into many other things. But, I will say that, I'm definitely happy to be where I'm at now, Saturday. And things feel a lot less chaotic. Things feel a lot more relaxed. I feel like I'm back to that same energy level and relaxation that I was, you know, before a couple days ago. And, I hope you out there are able to realize that too, that, hey, maybe a break for a few days wouldn't be a bad idea. What's the worst of it? Really nothing's going to happen. You're not going to die. You're not going to, get, less of, or you're not going to become, you're not going to fall behind for a couple days. I do enjoy my days off from running, but what I don't seem to do is enjoy the days off when I'm not doing my passion, or, uh, set time aside to just not be with my passion. I get it's a passion and it's something that you absolutely love, but you also have to learn to back off from that thing you love. And you have to learn to tell yourself it's okay to take a couple days away from your thing that you love. It will be there when you get back, especially something like, running, musical theater, music, any of that healthy addiction stuff that we so like to call it. Um, that can sometimes also be so consuming that it can turn into a negative. And so I just have to say to you out there, if you're listening and you made it this far, thank you so much for tuning in. And hopefully, my realization of, what was forming an unhealthy habit this week, and realizing that, comes full circle for you and helps you to understand that, okay, he's right. I think maybe I do need to shut it down for a day or so. It doesn't mean that you can't, again, and this doesn't mean that you can't do the thing you like to do or your passion. Like for me, is just running. Like I just went out for a run today. I did all right, relaxed face, a soft face, relaxed jaws. I always tell myself, do do the workout, the time, and don't think anything of it. Just, all right, just get out and run. Just enjoy the time that you're out there, and don't think anything else of it. When you come home, Don't try to overanalyze it. Don't try to think of places that you can do to make up for it. Just simply let that just sink in. That, okay, I did my thing. All right, now let's move on. Let's go be with family. Let's go do this. That's the type of thing that I mean when I say you need to take a break from it. Or if you are injured physically and you can't seem to get, healthy, then maybe it is time to take that break. But in the meantime, you just have to know how much you're doing something and know when to back off. And so I hope this is very informative for you as it was for me this whole week. And I definitely want to say you are still becoming, and you are the only one stopping you. I'll see y'all next time. Bye.